You want healthy, glowing skin, but with all the products, trends, and conflicting advice, it's hard to know what actually works. I understand. I am Dr. Tina Meder, a former cardiologist and specialist in the skincare development and cosmetic safety expert. I've spent years studying the science of skin. Welcome to Meder Beauty podcast, where we uncover what really matters, break down the science, and give you real expert-backed skincare advice. Whether you're looking to achieve radiant, healthy skin, curious about anti-aging, or want to understand what's really in your product, you are in the right place. Rooted in science and the truth about what your skin actually needs, we'll have in-depth conversations with leading dermatologists, medical experts, and skincare brand founders to bring you the latest innovations, evidence-based insights, and industry secrets that truly make a difference. We are so happy you are here. So let's go. Hello. Welcome to the Skin We Live In podcast. I am Dr. Tina Meder. And today I want to talk about something that is transforming both medicine and aesthetics. GLP-1 drugs like Semaglutide and Tirzepatide. Probably you know better commercial names. Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro. And what they might mean not only for the weight, but for our skin and our long-term longevity. This medication have been sold and prescribed as a kind of magic bullet for weight management. And apparently, it really is. But yet there's also very powerful systemic drugs, complex effects on our metabolisms, our body composition, but also our brain, our nervous system, and our skin, apparently. And changes in the face and the skin can be quite dramatic. So a lot of people they're worried about, and during the last probably couple of months or couple of years, I had a lot of questions about weight managing programs. And in the last time, it became really kind of overwhelming for many of aesthetic practices, beauty salons, aesthetic clinics, because they have more and more clients and patients undergoing this therapy with GLP-1 drugs. So in this episode, I'd like to unpack what GLP-1 is, why these drugs become so popular, how they can affect the skin through rapid weight loss, but not only through the weight loss, also via deeper cellular mechanisms. And finally, how we can think about longevity of body and our skin longevity in a world where GLP-1 drugs exist. This gene leaves the bottle. And when it was leaving the bottle, it was difficult to say how it will affect our life. But now, when it left, it's no way back. We should accept the reality and we should adjust the reality. So a lot of people who are undergoing this treatment, a lot of people who really been under GLP-1 treatment. And this episode for all of you who are interested to know what can happen with the skin and how we can optimize all effects of GLP-1 drugs on your skin and skin active longevity. So first of all, what is GLP-1 and why are peptides so powerful? GLP-1, it is abbreviator for the name glucagon-like peptide 1. It is a hormone produced in the gut, and it's produced much more actively after we eat. It is a part of the whole incretin system, and the job of this hormone is to help our body handle nutrients. It stimulates insulin secretion when glucose is high, so we can moderate the level, we can control the level of sugar circulating in our blood. It reduces the glucagon, and it slows down gastric emptying and decreases appetite. Actually, it binds specific receptors, and we are using the Tirzepatide and Semaglutide. They are peptides mimicking this hormone, glucagon-like peptide 1. They call scientifically GLP-1 receptor agonist. So they can bind the same receptors which are binded by the real GLP-1 hormones. But the thing is that GLP-1 receptors are located in different tissues. They are located in pancreas because it is a pancreas which produces insulin. They are located in the brain because it is the brain which creates a signal. Then you are satisfied with what you eat. You are not hungry anymore. But it's located in the skin as well. It's located more largely in the nervous system. And now we have better and better understanding what happens, where these receptors are located and how they function in our body. The whole role of the GLP-1 mimicking drugs is to reproduce effect of GLP-1 peptides and probably even amplify this effect to get better glycemic control, to get less of appetite, and to get slower digestion. And actually, it is a beautiful example how a small peptide can have an enormous power, because this peptide acts as a master signal between the gut, pancreas, and the brain, and the skin, by the way. So GLP-1 agonists are changing dramatically how our body manages energy, satisfaction after the food, and even reward not related to the food. So there's some research showing that GLP-1 drugs can be beneficial for people suffering from addiction. Why GLP-1 drugs became so popular? Actually, they've been developed for the treatment of the type 2 diabetes. But clinicians very quickly saw that many patients are also losing the weight, and they are losing weight much more significantly than they've been losing the weight with other drugs or with some controlled change in the lifestyles. So some GLP-1 receptor agonists, some GLP-1 drugs are now approved specifically for the obesity treatment because they consistently reduce appetite, they consistently reduce calorie intake and body weight in people with high BMI, obesity, and metabolic diseases. But also there are large trials which shows in high-risk patients GLP-1 drugs also can reduce major cardiovascular events such as cardiac arrest, infarctus, and all-cause mortality. So fewer heart attacks, fewer strokes, fewer deaths. So for the person with an obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular risk, these drugs, they really shape their health trajectory over the next decades. It really gives new years for life. And it's really work as a perfect longevity drugs for this category of people. So you can see why this looks like a dream, a medication which can help with sugar control, which can help with heart risk, which can help with weight loss, all in one. And it's actually quite easy to use, right? That's injectable once in some period of time. But like it always happens, some things are too good to be true. And once GLP-1 drugs escape the hospitals and run from the purely medical context and enter the social media space and aesthetic space, it became a magic pill for people who are simply unhappy about the body image, even if they don't meet any criteria for obesity. I will not say then this is not a real problem. People have right to be unhappy about how they look. It happens with literally, if not every one of us, but most of the people, they are unhappy about some aspect of their image, probably, at least at some period in their life. But the problem is then our relationships with the food in our modern world became even more complicated than they've been until this era of the comfort and richness. For many thousands of years, human beings being hungry, and the hunger and the weight deficiency have been much more common health problem than obesity. Obesity was a health condition related to richness, to the life of people who had excessive resources, so they could afford to eat more. But in the last 100 years, our access to food was much more simplified. And it happened especially in the last few dozen of years when the fast food industry developed so largely that literally every one of us is exposed to the fast food, to some cheap and very calories-rich food, which is easy to take. Just take hand and you get everything. And also we live in the world which invites us to sit, to overwork, to overscroll. So the food definitely became the source of comfort and entertainment. And it stopped to be just the source of the energy. So in this environment, it's really tempting to outsource the self-regulation to an injection. Because, okay, you're injected. And it switched off hunger, it shrinks your body, and you don't need working out, you don't need to change your lifestyles, you don't need to control your boundaries, and it changed the relationships with one's own body. Someone sees as a freedom, someone sees this as a danger. And I can say that I'm probably in the second group of people. The GLP-1 drugs as the medication for obesity, diabetes, heart diseases, and so on, it is absolutely amazing. It's game-changing. But in the same time, it brings us to the situation when people can harm themselves using these drugs when they don't need to use them. So, how GLP-1 drugs and weight loss affect the skin? I am a skincare specialist. I'm specializing in the creation of topical skincare solution. My background is a cosmetic safety expertise, so I am very much focused on the skin. It's my area of interest. But now when we see GLP-1 drugs becoming so popular, we can't ignore it. So it's when we started to research it, I understood then we should discuss more how it affects the skin and why it affects the skin in such a specific way. Actually, a lot of people, they think that it just, kind of mechanical problem, because when you lose weight, and especially when you lose weight fast, you have this emptiness in the subdermal layer. Your skin becomes too large for you, and that's why you see these transformational changes of the skin, of the body and the face at the same time. But our skin is not a flat sheet. It's not a coat. It is draped over the three-dimensional structure of our fat, muscle, and bone. So when we lose a large amount of weight so quickly, and this volume inside really decreases faster than the skin and connective tissue can remodel, especially if the person is older. And actually studies and clinical reports describe these changes, and now it even have a name. It's called now Ozempic face, by the commercial name of one of the first GLP-1 agonist products. So how Ozempic face looks? It is whole cheeks, more prominent folds and lines, skin is sagging, and it creates a general impression of accelerated facial aging, even if it is not. Similar phenomena can occur in the body as well. So we lose skin on arms, abdomen, thighs, and because the skin ability to retract has its limits, you can see kind of dramatic changes. What really defines retraction ability of our skin? There are few aspects. First of all, age is absolutely critical here. If 50 years old is losing the same amount of weight in the same time as 30 years old, older person will typically experience much more of skin laxity. If it is someone 70 years old, it would be even more prominent for obvious reason. Why? Because of the collagen producing ability of our skin. In our skin, in the dermis level, it is the deepest level of the skin, we have cells called fibroblasts. They are cells which are producing different proteins such as collagen and elastin. And by the way, we have many types of collagens in our skin, but also these cells, they produce hyaluronic acid, which creates a matrix for the skin. Our weight is more or less stable. It's very rare when people take weight so rapidly or they lose the weight so fast as it happens while using the GLP-1 drugs. So our body is not adapted for the situation of the fast loss of weight or fast uptake of the weight. So our fibroblasts, they are working slowly. In the young age, our fibroblasts, they are much more active. Actually, the peak of activity of fibroblasts is in our early childhood, when fibroblasts are producing a lot of collagen all the time. And same type of cells, they're located in the conjunctive tissue as well. So it's not only about the skin, it's about our ligaments, it's about our joints, and literally every type of conjunctive tissue in our body. So in our childhood, when we are growing, our fibroblasts are producing more of collagen, elastin, and everything which is related to this body growth. When we stop to grow, it happens early in women and a little bit later in men. Our fibroblasts start to work slower. And the collagen produced until 25, 27 years in women and 27, 30 years in men will stay in our skin for a very long period of time, because collagen and elastin, they are long-living proteins. Actually, the half-time of life for collagen is about 15 years. So the collagen which you've been producing when you've been 25 years old will stay with you until you're 50. From this point, 25, 27, 30 in some people, our fibroblasts, they are slow down the production of the collagen, but in the same time, they destroy less of collagen as well, because they produce less of enzymes destroying and renewing collagen. So we just keep using the same collagen fibers which been produced in our young age. When you start to lose the weight, our body takes it as a signal. Then you need more collagen, you need retract skin. When you are in your 30s, your fibroblasts are still very active, so they still are able to be awakened by the signals and to restore this activity almost on the same level. That's why your skin can retract faster. In your 50s, your collagen-producing cells, fibroblasts, they are not so active anymore. Some of them can be affected by aging process in our body, hallmarks of aging. They can be affected by inflammation, they can be affected by some epigenetic changes if your life was stressful. It can be affected by genetic changes, triggered, for example, by the exposure to the ultraviolet light. And there can be a lot of factors which can change your fibroblast functionality. If you've been living very healthy life, if you've been sleeping well, working out regularly, eating well, very healthy diet, if you never been exposed too much to the ultraviolet, if you never smoked, if you never lived in the big city and never been exposed to the air pollution, if you never been too much exposed to stress, and if your stress was well managed, probably you don't exist. You're not a real person. Because everyone is affected by one or many of these factors. And obviously, your fibroblasts are not ready to produce the same amount of collagen and other retracting substances. If you are in your 60s, in your 70s, and your fibroblasts are even less active, and it will take much more time to restore the skin elasticity enough to get your skin and conjunctive tissue over this weight. Such a quick weight loss, it can be triggered by the GLP-1 drugs. After some age, I will say after established menopause in women and andropause in men, it will not even be possible to get perfect elasticity back. Only even if you are strategically planning your weight loss and if you are using some specific methods helping you to keep your skin elastic during the weight loss, you can go through this more delicately and gracefully. But if you didn't prevent it, there are still some methods and you can still help your skin to retract a little bit better after the weight loss. But first and foremost, what I want to say, then if you're planning to use GLP-1 drugs for the weight loss, and if you're older than 40, 45, I will recommend you to be very strategic about it. If you don't want to get this Ozempic face syndrome, and if you want to keep your skin strong and healthy. So it takes usually about 6 to 12 months period when the skin slowly adapts after the weight loss and remodels at the new weight. And it can be spontaneous improvement, mostly in young people, but it can be quite difficult in older patients or those with chronic sun damage. So if you think about your skin and if your skin was damaged by the ultraviolet, you should think twice before using GLP-1 drugs for aesthetic purposes. GLP-1 drugs, they're enabling fast and substantial weight loss, and they create this emptiness in the subdermal layer. So it would be kind of structural vacuum. So the skin cannot feel it easily. It takes a lot of time, it takes energy to restore the structures. But below the surface, the story is even more complex on the cellular level because, as I explained previously, we have these dermofibroblasts, which forms kind of the interactive units with our cells. Actually, cells are very chatty. They love to chat, they love to collaborate, they love to create partnerships with other cells, not only of their own kind, but of the other kinds as well. And fibroblasts, they are like central hero of our cellular story. Fibroblasts, they are closely interacting with our pigment cells, melanocytes. Fibroblasts, they're interacting with the cells of the superficial layer of the skin, keratinocytes, they're interacting with immune cells, and also they are interacting with fat cells, which are located below the dermis when fibroblasts live. And they not even only interact with them. They literally form an interactive unit. Adipocytes, they secrete and cytokines that influences fibroblast behavior, and they affect the collagen production and overall extracellular matrix balance and homeostasis. But fibroblasts, they also produce biochemical signals speaking to adipocytes as well. When you take weight, when your adipocytes, fat cells, they stock more of fat granules, they send message to fibroblasts. We need more space. So fibroblasts start produce less of collagen to creating this additional space for bigger fat cells. When your adipocytes shrink rapidly, or when your adipose-derived stem cells are stressed or lost, because everything has stem cells, and the fat tissue is kind of the reservoir, stock, warehouse of stem cells for our skin. And they send specific signals. Its signaling patterns changes quite significantly. And they send signals, and we need more collagen, help us to remodel the structures. And recent reviews suggest that GLP-1 receptors, agonist GLP-1 drugs, can act on stem cells and fibroblasts which express GLP-1 receptors, altering the secretion of protective substances such as protective cytokines, and they can increase oxidative stress, and they could reducing indirectly estrogen stimulation, female hormone stimulation from dermal white adipose tissue in women. This combination, rapid fat loss, altered signaling, and possible reduction of the dermal collagen and receptiveness to the dermal estrogens and receptiveness to the estrogenic stimulation, it's really diminish fibroblast support and collagen production. Unfortunately, it can lead to the real skin aging, not just deflation. So what we previously been seeing as a mechanistic problem happened to be change of the cellular metabolism and accelerated skin aging biologically on the cells level. At the same time, the story is not all dark, because GLP-1 drugs can reduce systemic inflammation because of the obesity treatment, and they can modulate advanced glycation end products and their receptors, so you will get less of glycation products in your skin. And so it has some protective effect against sugar-related aging of the skin and inflammation-related aging to the skin. But the balance, it's not yet clear. What we can say right now is that for people who've been using GLP-1 drugs for weight loss in obesity, and people with metabolic changes, people with diabetes, people with different types of heart condition related to metabolic diseases, they've been experiencing already the high level of the inflammation in their body. So obviously they benefit a lot from GLP-1 treatment, and they really enjoy this anti-inflammatory effect in the skin and anti-glycation effect in the skin, just because they've been exposed to the inflammation and they've been experiencing the higher level of glycation in the skin than healthier people. But for people who weren't obese, who didn't have this excessive inflammation in the skin, who didn't have excessive glycation products in the skin, the benefits for them is much less clear. Probably they don't get enough of benefits for the skin biochemically on the cellular level, but they definitely get this negative effect of the GLP-1 drugs. So it's accelerating skin aging without skin benefits at the same time. So here I will say we have a paradox. GLP-1 therapy may lower systemic inflammatory aging and cardiometabolic risk, while in the face it can produce the clinical picture of the accelerated aging, which can be temporary or not. It's triggered through volume loss and very complex local mechanisms in fat and fibroblasts. Also, we should say that GLP-1 receptors are present in several brain regions involved in appetite, involved in reward and energy balance, and also in the perception of the smell and perception of the taste. So GLP-1 drugs change neuronal firing in these circuits. It's lowering hunger, it's altering responses to food cues, and it changes the perception of the food taste. So a lot of people, they are witnessing the change in taste, they love different things, they feel like they are less attracted by the fast food, for example. And it can shift how reward and motivation are distributed in the daily life. So clinical reports and different types of surveillance, they mention changes in mood, they mention mostly beneficial changes in anxiety, and in some cases, more subtle changes in how people experience pleasure, desire around food, and not only food, about other activity. And also there are some materials and some research showing that many of people, they experience changes of tastes of the food, which can be prolonged even after they stop using GLP-1 drugs. And very interestingly, a lot of people, they're experiencing changes in the smell perception. Some women compare this change in the smell perception to the pregnancy experience. So, for example, some smells can become repugnant, like they can be near to some types of food, or they hate some perfumes. And actually what is really interesting is that some people, they are telling them they are attracted to more gastronomic perfumes like vanilla or cinnamon or something else. But some people, they have a negative perception of so-called gastronomic perfumes. So it's very individual, but very probably it's linked to existence of the GLP-1 receptors in these zones of brains, which are responsible to the smell perception as well, and they're kind of ancient brain zone. So from the longevity perspective, this is very important. We are not only changing body weight, it's not mechanical process. We are intervening in the neural architecture that shapes habits, pleasures, emotional regulations, endorphin level, and we still do not fully understand the long-term consequences of this modulation. So let's step back and look a little bit in the bigger picture of longevity. For people with severe obesity, type 2 diabetes, and high cardiovascular risks, GLP-1 drugs can generally extend life and generally improve its quality. Meta-analyses show reduction in major cardiovascular events, cardiovascular deaths, all-cause mortality, beyond what we would expect from the simple glucose control. And if you're thinking about hallmarks of aging, which I've been speaking a lot about hallmarks of aging in my previous episodes in this podcast, so you can just come back to these episodes if you're interested. So it's a dysregulation of nutrient sensing in the first place, which is it is a hallmarks of aging, which is difficult to regulate and difficult to decrease. But definitely GLP-1 drugs can reduce the effect of these hallmarks of aging on the body. But also it is chronic inflammation, it is a vascular damage. So GLP-1 drugs, they're affecting several of hallmarks of aging at once. You will get, if you've been obese and you lose the weight with GLP-1 drugs, you will get less of visceral fat, better glycemic control, lower blood pressure, reduced systemic inflammation. So literally, it will change very beneficially the trajectory of the skin aging and the body aging as well, obviously. But longevity, it's not just about years, it's about function, about your functional reserve. And weight loss with GLP-1 will unavoidably includes not only fat loss, but lean mass loss. So lean mass accounts in some studies for 15 to 40% of total weight loss, which raises concern about sarcopenia, loss of the muscle weight, especially in older patients. So it is very important to think about strategically, and the workouts and physical activity and probably some specific muscle stimulation with machines such as myostimulators should be the part of your weight loss program. Also speaking about your skin elasticity and tonus. If we want to use GLP-1 drugs as longevity tools, we must pair it with strategy that preserve muscle and bones. And so structured resistance training, protein intake, absolutely necessary. Some people who are using GLP-1 drugs, they are less strict about the choice of products because when you cannot eat more, you prefer to eat what you like to eat. And some people, they prefer some food which doesn't contain enough of protein, so it should be thought strategically. And also it's a combination therapy for protecting lean mass. And now we have many different methods which help us to work on the lean mass, to protect our muscles and bones more efficiently. Speaking about the skin longevity, what can we do? For the skin, longevity means maintaining structure, maintaining barrier and communication between skin cells over decades. It's not just smoothing the wrinkles for a few months. GLP-1 therapy challenges the skin in two main ways. First, let's call it macro level. On the macro level, rapid weight loss and volume loss that stretch the adaptability on the skin. So we create this emptiness on the subdermal wire, and the skin just cannot stretch on time and cannot remodel around this new body and the new face structure. But also that's a micro level, so potential effects of GLP-1 drugs of the stem cells, adipose-derived stem cells, on the fibroblasts, potential oxidative stress, and most importantly, the local estrogen production in the dermis level. So it can be potentially more harmful for women as estrogens are more important for female skin. And at the same time, systemic benefits may support skin on the deeper level, such as anti-inflammatory effect, better glycemic control, and so on. And everything what benefits the health in general benefits the skin. Skin is the largest organ of our body. It will benefit from everything what is good for your health. But for me, that means that we cannot talk about GLP-1 drugs and skin only in terms of good and bad. It would be too simplified as a conversation. We need to integrate it to the broader longevity strategy, how we support structure, how we support function of the skin, while we are positively modifying the systemic risk. So first of all, I believe that GLP-1 drugs should never be as trivialized as cosmetic tools. They are potent systemic therapies with clear benefits for people with severe metabolic disease. But they come with trade-off in body composition, in skin structure, and even in some psychology, neuropsychology. So don't use it, please, just for smaller dress size, without medical indications, and without clear support for muscle, skin, and mental health. It will not be the true longevity philosophy. Longevity is about having more healthy years, when your face and your body still feels like yours, not just about chasing some lower number on the scale or lower number of wrinkles on your skin. So it is a powerful longevity intervention, but in the same time, it's needs supervision, and it's not a quick fix for aesthetic purposes. So what kind of proactive skin support strategy around GLP-1 we can offer? First of all, the weight loss should be planned, and we should plan the timing and the pace of the weight loss. Don't try to lose weight too quickly. Yes, it is tempting, but remember, then when you lose more than, let's say, 450 grams of weight in 1 week, it's something about 1 stone, it will be very difficult for your skin to adjust to the space. And also 450 grams, it is for young people. If you've been exposed to the ultraviolet damage, if your skin been burned by sun once or twice in your life, if you are older than 45, 50, I will say let's plan this weight loss even a bit more slower. I know that it sounds not so fun, but for your skin the best solution when you will lose not more than 2 kilos of your weight during a month. Yes, it is not very quick, but in the same time, you stay beautiful, you stay handsome, your skin will adjust properly to your plan of the weight loss. Second, we should build a dedicated skin support strategy that starts before you start to lose the weight and continue during the whole treatment. First part of the strategy, it is a lifestyle. I mentioned already, protein intake. So you should think about it, and you should really add proteins which have the same amino acids which our body uses to produce collagen as well. Also, this is a time when you can start to take collagen-based supplements. I am always very skeptical about collagen supplements as a tool to improve your skin elasticity. But when you're losing weight, these collagen supplements, they are much more useful because you add this basis to build your own collagen. And when you lose the weight, it can be necessary. Another part, it's a physical activity, so resistance training, strength training, aerobic activity, mobility training as well. And you should plan your life around it as well, so you should get about 80 minutes a week. That's a pure minimum of the physical activity that we should have until probably 250, 300 minutes a week. You should move. That's the secret of the successful weight loss. Also, we can offer some skincare and some skin intervention to improve the skin elasticity during this period of the weight loss. For biologically identical and biologically supportive treatments, I always recommend to use a microcurrent therapy for the face and neck, and maybe for the body, if you can do it, especially for the inner part of your thighs and inner part of your arms, and probably for your stomach. But face and neck, that's a place when most of the people are most interested in. Also, I will recommend to start your course of the light therapy, LED therapy with red light, a couple of times a week, coupled with some stitching, activating collagen synthesis and supporting collagen synthesis product in your skin. And also, I will recommend to think about maybe during your weight loss treatment to support your skin with some gentle laser therapy or radiofrequency therapy. Not anything dramatic, but something very gentle, soft session of the stimulation for your fibroblasts, just to help them to be awake. Also, speaking about the skincare, you should care about your skin barrier, because your skin should channel all the energy it has to the collagen production. When your skin is irritated, when your skin is dried off, when your skin is sensitized, it means that your mitochondria will produce the energy not for the collagen production, but for the barrier restoration. So before you go into this weight loss journey, please think about your skin comfort. Please think about your skin barrier. The best way to prepare your skin for this weight loss, these GLP-1 drugs, is to restore the skin hydration and to switch your skincare paradoxically, not to the most stimulating one, but to the most comforting one. Switch to the sensitive skincare, switch to the formulation which are microbiome respecting, microbiome friendly. In Medicare, I always recommend to switch for Netapax cleanser for your skin and Soanapax antioxidant serum for the sensitive skin. They are very anti-inflammatory. They have a lot of impact on the active longevity of your skin. They will support your active longevity and they will protect your skin cells against potential oxidative stress, which can be caused by GLP-1 drugs. Another step is a gentle stimulation. Retinol is the most known stimulating agent in the skincare in the last 50 years. But I will not say switch from retinol when you are on GLP-1 drugs. Switch to peptides. Why? Because it's difficult to control retinol, especially difficult during the weight loss program. Retinol is potentially irritating for the skin. It can create the barrier disruption. And yes, it's very stimulating for fibroblasts, but this stimulation can be overwhelming when fibroblasts, they are already interacting with adipocytes units in the same time. So I will say switch to peptides. Switch to the epidermal growth factors in your skincare, in the remodeling peptides like Matrixyl 3000 family, like Regin, and some others. There are other ingredients which works really beautifully on the skin exposed to the weight loss drugs, such as biofermented resveratrol, metabiotic resveratrol, stem cells of plants, apple stem cells, centella stem cells. Epidermal growth factor, as I mentioned already, oxidant-rich plants in the same time. Speaking about Medicare skincare, I will definitely recommend to use Armolift Active Serum, which is especially for menopausal women, because it really helps to protect your inner estrogen level in your skin. It increases the responsiveness to estrogens. And also our latest addition, White Long Skin Longevity Active Care. If you choose one of them, choose White Long. Honestly, it would be great if you can use both of them, like Armolift at night and White Long in the morning time or twice a day. But if you should choose one, choose the White Long, because White Long contains this biofermented resveratrol. It also contains energizing ingredients, specific probiotics from the Indian Ocean, which energize your mitochondria, but also it contains the volumizing agent. So it helps to protect your fat cells. White Long is your main product of the skincare. You remember, sensitive skin cleanser, sensitive skin antioxidant serum, to prolong your skin longevity and to interact and so reduce the impact of specific hallmarks of aging. White Long will help you to maintain skin face volumes and to keep up with this weight loss. Actually, it can help after Ozempic treatment, GLP-1 drugs treatment as well. But if you're using it in the process of the weight loss, it would be even better. And I will suggest just to choose a moisturizer by your skin type and care about your skin barrier. So your moisturizer should be hydrating, moisturizing, and comforting enough. Speaking about Medare skincare, it would be easy. We have specific moisturizer for dry skin, oily skin, sensitive skin. We have a night circadian moisturizer, so you can pick up one of them. And also, I will suggest if you cannot go to the beauty salon, to the beauty clinic, at least you should use some intense treatment at home. So I always suggest masks. The minimal program, it is 1 mask a week, and it should be the best hydrating mask you can find. Because when your skin is well hydrated, it really helps fibroblasts to feel better, to produce more of collagen and elastin. I will say that I have doubts about using some masks which are very specific about some kind of super stimulation, some dramatic effect and lifting and retracting effect. So I will stay mostly on the hydration aspect. And if you feel like your skin is sensitive and you need more support with your skin sensitivity, also some calming moisturizing masks. Speaking about Medare masks, once again, Hydrofill, it's an all-time favorite, the best hydrating mask you can find. If you are in the group of the 50 plus demographics, I will suggest Armolift masks pairing with Armolift Active Serum, also with a lot of remodeling peptides inside, or you can combine both. Also, I will say then you will spend less time and you get more of effect if you perform microcurrent therapy on the top of the mask. So if you're planning to do both, with Medare masks, they're electrically active, negatively ionized, you just take your microcurrent device and work on the top of the mask. So your home care program, sensitive skin cleanser, and the antioxidant hydrating serum, let's say GLP-1 protector, Vital Long, masks, moisturizer, and from devices, microcurrent therapy and light therapy. And obviously, lifestyle choices. If you can go to the beauty salons, if you can go to aesthetic clinics, also I would say go for facials. For hydrating, calming facials, Medare biofacials, if you can, I will suggest once again Hydrofill and Armolift as your best choice. And speaking about injectables, now a lot of aesthetic clinics, they are offering specific injectables program to support patients going through the weight loss. I will not pretend that I am an expert in injectable treatments. I never injected anything in my own face, and I never been the injection practitioners in my whole life. I performed a lot of chemical peels, but injections, it's not my thing. For many reasons, I don't practice it, the whole idea. It's not mine. But some fillers injections can be useful for people who are losing weight too quickly and a little bit too dramatically. But about this injectable support, it's better to speak with specialists, with doctors who offer this type of programs. And we should understand that GLP-1 drugs are here to stay. And they will change the landscape of obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, metabolic diseases, and in the coming decades. So it gives us hope to live longer, to live more healthily, to live more happily. But once again, it's kind of sword with two edges. And what is really good for people with serious health condition can be dangerous for healthy people. They can help many people live longer and healthier, but also they should force us to rethink how we care for the skin, how we care for muscles, and how is our relationships with our body. If we want true longevity, we should treat this powerful medication with respect. So it means clear indications, medical supervision, support for muscles and bones, and careful science-based skincare and treatments which can help your skin as a skin hotel be managed to be able to adapt to changing size of your body. So if you're considering GLP-1 therapy, or if you're already on the therapy, or if you experience the GLP-1 therapy and now you are worried about your skin, talk to your doctor, talk to your aesthetic practitioners, talk to your beautician, and remember that's never only about the weight, never only about the skin. It's about your life, it's about your health, and it is about how you will live for the upcoming 20, 30, 40, maybe 50 years. So thank you so much for listening to it. If you have any question, please leave it in comments wherever you listen to this episode of podcast. I will be happy to respond. And follow our podcast, follow our socials, Meder Beauty on Instagram, follow LinkedIn page, Meder Beauty or Dr. Tina Meder, and stay with us for more episodes. Thank you for joining us today on the Meder Beauty podcast. If you found this helpful, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an expert skincare tip. Have a question or topic you'd like for me to cover? Send me a message at podcast@mederbeauty.com and let's keep the conversation going. Also, you can visit mederbeauty.com and discover Meder Skincare, which I created. And if you enjoyed the show, I'd love if you left a review. It helps others find the podcast and keeps us growing. Until next time, stay healthy, stay glowing, and take care of your skin.